Our council meeting from recess, and Mr. McGinnis, you go ahead and we'll follow your format.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to hand this right over to Garth, who's going to lead us through a presentation that he's put together.
Your Worship and members of council, you have been presented with the first draft of the 2015 operating and capital budgets. The purpose of this draft is to begin the discussion of the budget and spending plans for the year 2015. I do have a PowerPoint presentation. As we begin the 2015 budget process, it's always fun to look back at what happened in 2014, although we still have a few weeks left in 2014 because I've been living in 2015 for the last, that's why I say look back. Some of the projects that we worked on was at the pool. The lockers were changed out, the floors redone. In the rec complex, work was done on the exterior doors, and as part of the parking lot was paved. There were improvements made downtown. Now these don't show the improvements, this just shows the improving. But as you all know, that the work was completed. The permanent structures for porta potties were added to the parks. We did lease a new grader. A comment that when I chose this picture that yes, we actually got a picture of the grader plowing snow, that it really does actually work. And then we haven't finished getting our fire truck ready. So we have pieces of fire truck at the moment, and they haven't been delivered. They will be put together and will be delivered early in 2015. But we did get the Sunshine Bus delivered, and it works quite well from what I understand. That's what some of the things that our capital budget purchased for the town in 2014. Now there's three parts of budget package that I want to talk about. One is the capital projects, another one is estimates, and the third is the operating budget. Now, just to set the stage, there's nothing that is included.
One moment, please,
Yes.
Garth. I'll set the stage for council on how they want to deal with this question.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Lucas, I just want to clarify why we would purchase a fire truck along with Rocky View.
Oh.
Can you?
Yes, Mr. McInnes pointed that out, and I did not get it changed. That is my error. No, we're not. It's not Rocky
Thank
View.
you.
Is it our truck?
It's our turn.
It is our truck, and it should have been Mountain View, not Rocky
Okay,
View.
very good, thank
It's
you.
my apologies. It should have been Mountain View.
Okay.
Get Airdrie and Rocky View paid for.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, and Mr. McInnes did point that out, and I did not make that correction.
Okay, very good.
We're just seeing if you're paying attention.
I was paying attention.
Very well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, nothing has been included in the 2015 budget that requires additional funding for 2015. Any 2014 budget, well, there is additional funding. There's been no 2014 projects, is the way I should say it, that have been included in the 2015 budget that includes additional items. Now, there will still be some 2014 items that don't get finished. For example, the fire truck with Mountain View
Thank you.
that will not be finished by the end of the year and will require some carry forward funding. Now, capital projects that are proposed for 2015, we looked through, we've spent a considerable amount of time going through the list of projects. Tonight, we handed out the 10-year capital plan, and but since you've just been given that, I won't spend any time with that. Just for comparison's sake, the initial 2014 capital budget was $4.4 million, 4.497. It was adjusted upward, again, with these carry-forward items as part of the spring budget adjustments. It ended up being $6.7 million. The initial budget for 2015 is $4.6 million, and so there's about $200,000 increase in the initial proposed budget. Now, we have identified, since this package was prepared, a couple of items, well, one item for sure that will be coming off the capital. And so this is why I'm saying it's the initial budget, that there is still changes that are in the process of being made.
Yes, and council really hasn't sat down together as a whole together, where we have had an opportunity to talk together, so I can't guarantee there won't be any changes through us either, so.
I'm quite confident that there will be, and prepared to expect those. Yep. This is initial draft. This is just to start the conversation. A quick breakdown of sort of the categorization of the projects. Roads, trails, and street improvement projects are $1.3 million for 2015. The water and sewer infrastructure is almost $1.6 million. Recreation projects is $777,000, and vehicles and other equipment is higher than it was last year because we've got a couple of pieces of heavy equipment included in this, including a front end loader and a vac truck that we pushes the cost up a bit. So far as the comparison and spending goes, the interesting thing about this graph, this chart that is in front of you now, the purple column in the middle was contributed assets that the developers paid for as part of the new subdivisions, but that we took ownership of in 2013. That they did not cost us any money to purchase, but they will cost us money to maintain and look after in the future. But it's interesting that the developers have contributed quite a sizable chunk of assets to the town. And there will be a little bit added again, from what I understand, in 2014 as part of the year-end process. The municipal assessment and taxes, based upon preliminary estimate, and I will emphasize that they're preliminary because the assessor doesn't have to have final numbers in until February 28th. But from what he's looking at so far, the growth in the residential assessment for 2015 is 6.5%. That compares to that's from 2014 to 2015. The growth from 2013 to 2014 was 1.8% for residential, but it was much higher for non-residential last year, and it's actually going down just a little bit. The assessment is going down just a little bit in 2015. Overall, the average growth between residential and non-residential is about 5.1%. Some of that is based on new growth, some of that is increase in market value. So far as the proposed tax rates are concerned, this presentation does not contemplate setting tax rates at all. We will deal with tax rates next spring when we know what the actual assessment numbers are. But for contemplation purposes, we're looking at rolling back the 3% increase that was approved by council in the spring of 2014 for the purpose of snow removal. And so the tax rates for residential and non-residential are lower than 2014 and compared to what was the rates in 2013. To look at some of the dollars, how these tax rates roll through. In 2014, from residential, the snow levy raised $158,000. From non-residential, it raised $64,000. But overall, because of the assessment increase, the assessment value increase, even with rolling the tax rates back, the revenue realized by the town through the taxes will be about 322,000 greater. That's after the 3% rollback in the tax rates. Are there any questions about that? Have I made myself clear on that?
Clear as mud.
Just a revenue comparison, the revenues is going up year by year, even with the tax rate staying the same. As far as the operating budget is concerned, there's a number of pressures and that have had to be considered and changes. One of the largest areas of expenditure for the town of Olds is salaries and wages. When this draft was prepared, it was 30.8%. One of the that was based upon information that was had at the time. The information has changed a little bit, and so the percentage will probably be a little bit higher. Just as a history to remind council, in 2012, council established a salary grid for all staff. In 2013, wage adjustments brought the employees in line with that salary grid. In 2014 and again in 2015, if an employee received a satisfactory annual performance review, they would advance one step on the salary grid. There's 6 steps on the grid. 1 or 2 employees have reached the top of the grid in 2014, but most are still going up the grid. In addition to the salary grid, there's also a cost of living adjustment. It was estimated when this package was prepared that it might be around 2%. It has actually come in at 3%. And so where I said the salaries and wages is about 30.5%. Because of the additional CPI that will have to be added, that percentage will go up just a little bit. Now, in addition to the cost of living adjustment and the salary grid movement, there's other changes that have an impact on the cost of salaries and wages. Mr. Wagstaff commented on one of the park staff that had left and the position was being held vacant. That position, when it is filled, will probably be filled at a step 1, whereas the person who left it would have been at a higher step. And so there's a savings in the budget. But as that happens through the year, those people, when they leave, isn't known, and so there's changes and adjustments. When this package was put together, it appeared that there was about $273,000 increase in the staff compensation for the year. But that's based on a CPI of 2%. It'll be higher than that for the 3%. This draft that we're presenting to you is balanced with no proposed tax increase. If anything unusual comes about, such as the snow removal last year, this could change the tax situation. But at the moment, it's the package before you has a tax revenue of $24.2 million, expenses of $24.2 million, and it's balanced. Now, there's a net increase in revenue for 2015 of $250,000. Now, I wanted to add the note this year that out of that revenue increase, $141,000 of that is for an estimated 4% increase in the school requisition and the seniors requisition. Those aren't known exactly yet. The seniors have set their guidelines, but we haven't received an exact number from them yet. Now, just for comparison's sake, just for interest's sake, I threw this slide in just to show you, we talk about taxes, but taxes is almost matched by revenue from sales and user charges. You know, sales and user charges is what is paid for water and sewer, admissions at the pool, lessons at the pool, the aquatic center, and also for ice rentals at the arena. Because the sales and user charges are the water and sewer and solid waste primarily, I separated those out. When we put this budget package together, it appeared that the water and wastewater and solid waste would possibly be going down slightly. We have received information since then that the Wastewater Commission is planning on accepting increased flows from the town of Olds as of July 1st. If that's the case, the revenue, the budget will have to be changed to allow for that. Also, since we've received we printed the package, we've received notification that the Water Commission has increased their rates by 5 cents a cubic meter, and that's what the couple of revised sheets have been given to you. And then, in addition, solid waste has given us they've given us some numbers. They haven't given us the complete package yet, I don't think. And if they have given us the complete package yet, we haven't processed it through, and so there's still more changes coming with regards to the solid waste. Based upon the knowledge that we have at this point in time, which, like I say, I don't think is complete, but that the sewer variable rate will stay the same as of April 1st. The water variable rate will go up by the 5 cents. Solid waste, we're not sure what's happening with that at the moment. That will be determined over the next couple of days. Now, in this chart, I've got proposed rate changes to cover the change in water as of April 1st, because that's when the water rates are changing. If we know for sure what's happening with the wastewater, we could possibly include the wastewater changes in the same rate, same motion. If we don't know for sure, we'll have to come back sometime in July and make changes, or June. So far as split out of where things are spent, again, the biggest place where we spend money is utilities. There's a lot of revenue for utilities, but there's a lot of expenditures as well. The next largest is recreation and parks, and then the next largest is general government. Just for comparison, what we've done year by year, general government seems to be increasing. Now part of that is some of the transfers that we make, so far as the franchise fees that we transfer to fund the library and the museum and other cultural programs. That shows up as an expense in general government. Utilities had a bit of a bump in 2014 because of the cost of the blue bins. If working on the 2% wage increase, that didn't turn out well. It's always interesting because when you move from one computer to another, the salaries themselves, salaries and wages themselves are about 5.3, and the benefits are almost another $1 million. And that's what I was trying, and they are by far and away. The next one is contracted services, and the next one is government contracts, which is where we pay for the water and sewer and the wastewater and the solid waste. Just for interest sake, although This isn't part of the operating budget. I put this in for interest's sake to just show where the situation of the town outstanding debt is. It has gone up in 2014. The red portion of the bars are the amount of town debt that is covered by payments received from the Olds Institute. The blue portion is a combination of payments that are, or debt that is paid for through either utilities or taxes, and it's a combination. So far as the proposed future schedule, again, this week there's going to be additional budget work and adjustments and refining. I would like council to set a December 1st as an open house for public question and answer with regards to the budget. Again, that week there will be some more additional adjustments and refining, and then I would like to plan on bringing it back to the budget, back to council on December the 8th for council approval.
What I would like to see as mayor is if I could set a date with my council as a whole to review the budget together so that we could have an idea collectively of what's going on. What I'll do is I'll send something out for you, because I know I was thinking perhaps after December 1st, when the budget presentation and open houses to the public, they'll have more of an input of what they see, any questions they have, and that way we have all the information along with any discussions that we might want to have as well. So I will send out an email and I will pick some dates and see where we can go from there. But I really think it's important, unless you have other options, but we'll talk amongst ourselves to see how that works. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, just as a summary, we're looking at $4.6 million for capital and $24.5 million for operating. Now, if there's any questions or discussion at this point.
I'll just open the floor to council. It's a lot for us to digest, and a lot of us have just started delving into this. We got it on Friday, so I'm sure we'll have some questions. But we might need a couple more nights or at least a week to go through the entire budget. I'll leave the floor open to council, otherwise we'll just go ahead and move forward with the motions. I'd ask if you have questions, ask, go ahead. Otherwise, when we get ourselves together as a group and we have some more solid information, we can do that then. Councillor Baruchel.
I'll put a motion on the floor, Your Worship, that the draft 2015 operating capital budgets be tabled to allow for information sessions and review with the public at an open house to be held December 1st, 2014.
Thank you. Let's just deal with two separate motions here and see what council feels. If everyone is in favor of that, I would call for the motion. Those in favor? That's carried. And then the second motion, please, Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, I move that council approves the 2015 operating capital budgets to be brought back to council for final consideration on December 8th, 2014.
Thank you. And of course, I don't believe we have a council meeting on the 22nd, do we, Ms. Godfrey? 22nd one was December 22nd?
There was no meeting scheduled for December 22nd.
That's correct. So we'll move forward with that, and if we need to speak to our CAO over and above that, we will. Good. Those in favor? Oh, sorry, question.
Councillor Walsh's motion says for final consideration, and I'm not sure if we're comfortable with final consideration for the December 8th meeting.
You were seeking approval in your slide presentation,
Yes.
were you not?
Yes, I would like approval on December the 8th, since that is the final council meeting in 2014.
So you're saying no, but we, okay. that's a P&P meeting, we don't make. But we would still have spring adjustments, right? Budget adjustments?
Yes, there's definitely spring budget adjustments. We're not setting tax rates
Right,
at this time.
right.
We are simply approving expenditures, and then there will be adjustments done in the spring, yes, when tax
So,
rates are set.
okay, well, I'm comfortable with whatever he wants to leave it with. Are you okay with consideration?
Well, for final consideration.
Okay, because we may have changes. Yeah, thank you for that point of interest. Okay, we're good.
Just a comment, and Councillor Overwater may want to comment as well, but the Waste Commission did approve their budgets at their meeting this morning, so we do have all of that information now, and it will be incorporated and available for the open house. So we should have all of our utility accounts as good as we can get them. We're still not 100% sure on the wastewater. I have some reservations about July 1st for taking our full flow, but we'll see if that happens, and we may have to make that adjustment in spring.
Certainly, Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, today, the Mountain View Regional Waste Management Commission, we did approve our budget, and I in turn have sent the fees off to Mr. McGinnis, and I believe Garth, Mr. Lucas has put them in the revised edition, correct?
Mr. Chant worked on the fees, but not on the special requisition.
Oh, it is in here. Isn't it?
Just for clarification on that, if I can, yeah, the requisition is in that line item, but how to pay it back is not. So it's a one, yeah, but we have to pull it somewhere to pay for it. It wasn't factored into the rate. The rate you see on the revised sheets does not include that one-time requisition. It shows coming out of reserves to cover that one-time cost. The discussion I haven't had a chance to have is, how do we pay that reserve back? Is it over, a one-time fee we hit the solid waste users, or do we pay it over a 2-year time or a 3-year time frame? If it is truly only a one-time fee, then over a couple of years is okay, but it's a one-time fee this year and then a one-time fee next year, that adds a little bit of an issue. But it's a significant hit if we try and recoup it all in 1 year.
Just comment.
Councillor Overwater.
Yeah. As I stated back in September, we will be having a all-council board meeting on December 4th. And that would include all councils from all municipalities, and whoever the mayor and CAO deem necessary should be there director-wise. And it is hoped that all councils will put that on their calendars as a priority to be there. We wanted all councils to hear the same story, the same reasons, instead of each commission board member coming back to their councils and interpreting it, and in case there are misinterpretations, this way everybody hears the same thing. So our CAO will be getting an invitation from the CAO from the commission, and then Mr. McGinnis will direct it out to all council and directors that he feels should be there. So at that point in time, people will have an opportunity to, I guess, ask us questions as to anything pertaining to our budget and our new fees and requisitions and recovery assessment that we have put in place this year.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any further questions or comments from Councillor Walsh's motion? Hearing none. Or do you have a comment? No? Okay, those in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
Old Community TV. your go-to channel for news and information in Olds, Alberta.